just made it.
Awesome.
Hey, B-Button.
Hey, we're cool. Hey, Joker.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Hello, hello.
It's not my fault. He was here when I. Ow, 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 ow. Oh.
You okay?
Shoulder's a little sore. Can I explain to John what happened to me this? Okay.
B button, B bottom. It doesn't matter.
Oh.
No.
Also, let me make one quick. Tim is coming. Spirit Spotter Tim is coming. He'll be just a few minutes late. He just mentioned
All
that
right.
in the Facebook chat. Now go ahead.
Nice.
John, I lent a whole new definition to the two words bottoms up. I was helping my dad out.
Ass, didn't you?
What?
You went head over ass, didn't you?
Let me explain the story. I was helping my dad out in the backyard. We're clearing out the garden, getting ready for spring. And we have one of those flip-top garbage cans that go like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, he asked me to push the garbage can closer to him so he has a bad back, so I was pushing it closer to him so he wouldn't have to stand up too long. And I forgot to put the lid up. So I'm pushing the garbage can, and my toe of my shoe catches on the lid, and I fall right into a garbage can full of doggone greens. And I'm laughing. I'm hard to breathe because it got a face plant right in a stupid pile of greens we'd pulled up. To add insult to injury, I am being dog bombed. Both my dogs are on my back trying to lick me in the face and all that. Finally, my dad says, "You're not hurt. Come on up." He just grabbed me by my waistband and pulled me out there. And I'm laughing so hard. It's fun. It's pathetic. So I've been the butt end of a joke all day.
Nice.
But
you say you're getting dog bombed better than planting face first into a garbage can full of dog bombs.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Point taken.
Because the thing of it is, I used to live in Arizona.
Hi, Tim.
A garbage can just like that, and
hello, everybody.
It was never full of yard waste.
We unfortunately in the garden have a cat. Likes to use one corner of our garden for a poop and litter box. Okay, Tim, how's it going today?
I've actually had a halfway decent day today, considering everything that's happened. I'm a little in the stomach, and I did have a bit of an issue getting my groceries yesterday, which was a major eye roller. But other than that, I think I'm doing okay. I am going to let Shirley lead the show tonight originally. Those of you that are wondering exactly what's going on, I'm still not fully recovered from my gallbladder surgery from a week ago. And tonight's show, Secrets of the Unknown, is one of them, the two that I host. The other one being Food Fascinations, which Shirley and I both now co-host. This one's my baby. I normally host this one every time it comes up. I'm just not up for it tonight. So I'm going to let Shirley guide the discussion tonight. I did approve the topic ahead of time. And I have not looked at the list So I'm going to be as surprised as everybody else as to which locations around the globe hit the top 43 haunted locations in the world. And don't be surprised if I have a thing or two to say about some of these locations that I'm, familiar with. I am actually not. I am actually not surprised about that.
Is it as surprising as a ski resort in the middle of the desert?
Well, keep in mind that ski resort's on a 10,000 foot tall mountain.
Okay. Carry on, Tim. Shirley, whoever.
So I'm going to go ahead and Shirley, if you want to go ahead and start the list off, if I have something I want to pitch in about one or more locations, I will just chime in of my own free will, and hopefully I am the paranormal expert of this team. But I do have a question from my colleagues before we really get underway. This is more for B-Bun. Did I miss the revelation of the first ever recorded ghost capture?
Sighting? No, you didn't. I will bring that up later on. It may well.
I wasn't sure if I missed it because I am a couple minutes, and I was tending to Mother Nature. So yeah, I wasn't sure if I'd missed that yet or not because I know that's coming tonight. So
We had just started when you got here.
Yeah, I gave a little heads up about. I gave a heads up about 3 minutes before showtime that I was coming, but would not make it right on the dot. So, Shirley, I'm gonna turn the floor over to you. But like I said, I expect that I might chime in on some of these locations if I'm familiar with them, because this is my research, this is my baby. I devote a lot of my spare time to this when I'm not gaming. So, let's do it. Top 43 haunted locations throughout the world. Let's do it. Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Why does the Fairmount sound familiar? Wasn't it in a segment of Ghost Adventures?
If it's in Canada, I don't think so. I'm not familiar with very many of their international travels, except to say that I know they've been to France. I know they've been to the UK. I know they went to Romania to investigate Dracula's castle. I'm not aware of anything that they may have done in Canada. Although again, I've slept since then. I may be forgetting something.
Kind of like Professor Binns out of Harry Potter, you know?
It's
We have
penitentiary, Shirley.
Penitentiary. Yes, we have done that one before. It is one of the most haunted prisons in the United States, and it is one of the at least two prisons I know that former mobster Al Capone was actually held at. And his cell in Eastern State Penitentiary is, I don't want to use the word preserved here, but it's kept up pretty well to be representative of what it was like when he was actually held at Eastern State Penitentiary. The other one that he was at that excuse me, that I'm familiar is Alcatraz out in San Francisco Bay, which we also talked about that one before too. That was our first episode we did that where we actually had guests. And yes, I will be working on guests for this season of Secrets of the Unknown too. So do be on the lookout for that.
How do you chain somebody's tongue to their wrist? You have to pierce it or something?
Can I interrupt for a second?
I've heard of.
Apparently, Sajo cannot hear you, Shirley. Yeah.
I've been muted the whole freaking time. Oh crap.
Sorry,
Oh.
Saj.
Oh my!
I
That's
just
my
now
own
caught this
stupid fault.
myself.
I just noticed. I was like, oh shit, I muted myself and forgot. Okay. So for
I
those of
can
you
hear
who
you
hear
the
me,
whole time.
let's go back. Just it's only two, so I am so sorry. Shit. I feel like maybe I have to start
Oh
over.
my.
No.
It happens.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
happens.
All right. So I'm just gonna do a quick start over. All right, on this. So I do apologize. So like I said, for those you want to know, we've got Joker, I'm Oddball Extreme, Oracle, Frodo Sonite Sus, B Button, and Spirit Spotter Tim. There.
There we go.
Shoot,
Good evening.
I am so sorry. That's my fault. I
Oh
thought I
my.
thought I unmuted everybody, but apparently I forgot to unmute myself. me, and
Oh
tech-
my.
yeah, me and technology apparently don't like to cooperate half the time. No, I'm kidding.
Oh
Okay.
dear.
All right, so let's go back. I'm not going to read that first autograph. First autograph.
Oh
Paragraph.
my.
As
Paragraph,
paragraph.
Shirley.
Okay.
Quit tripping over your
my.
tongue.
Okay. Anyway, basically in a nutshell, these are the 43 most haunted places in the world, and I'm just going to go back and mention the first two. First was the Hoia Baciu Forest in Romania, where apparently a UFO hovered over the forest in 1968. But people who have passed through the forest without being zapped into another realm have reported rashes, nausea, and feelings of anxiety. I probably would too. And then we have the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel in Canada, where there's several resident ghosts, including a bride who supposedly fell down the stone staircase during her wedding, and then Sam the bellman, who worked at the hotel in 1975 and claimed he'd come back to haunt the joint. And he pulls shifts helping people with their bags before disappearing. Then we were talking about the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia. And let's see, the Castle Lake Eastern State Penitentiary basically had prisoners living by themselves, but it had to be abandoned due to overcrowding in 1913. But one punishment was chaining an inmate's tongue to his wrists. That's kind of crazy. Before it closed for good in 1970,
Painful.
the site now welcomes thousands of visitors every year, both for its museum and Halloween celebrations. Reported paranormal happenings have included disembodied laughter, shadowy figures, and pacing footsteps. Then we have the Bangar Fort in India. Located just 100 miles southwest of Delhi, the lush ruins of Bangar Fort make for a curious juxtaposition against the desert landscape of Rajasthan. To this day, the oasis remains largely uninhabited due to an alleged curse cast by a disgruntled sorcerer after his advances were rebuffed by a local princess. If you prefer your trips to skew more spiritual than haunted, Traveler's former editor at large Hanya Yanagihara suggests saluting the sun during a session of pre-dusk yoga at the site. Okay. Ooh, then we have the Chateau de Brisac in Brisac, 15, France. Vive la France! One of the tallest
Vive
castles.
la France.
Yep. One of the tallest castles in all of France, the seven-story Chateau de Brissac is perhaps best known as the home of the Green Lady, aka the ghost of Charlotte of France. The chateau's website tells the legend of Charlotte, the illegitimate daughter of King Charles VII, who was murdered by her husband after he discovered her having an affair. Named for the color of her dress when she was killed, the Green Lady can be found roaming the chapel's tower room and moaning in the early hours of morning.
Habilis sui fantasma.
And then
I'll
we have.
translate that later.
That's fine. Let's see. We also have the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. The Stanley Hotel's stately
If you don't know this,
Go ahead.
if you don't know the Stanley Hotel, and you've seen the movie The Shining,
Mm-hmm. That's where it does mention it. The Stanley Hotel's stately Georgian architecture and world-renowned whiskey bar have lured travelers to Estes Park since opening in 1909. But the hotel reached new levels of fame after inspiring Stephen King to create The Shining's fictional Overlook Hotel. That eerie association aside, many other ghost hauntings and some mysterious piano music have been connected to the hotel, and the Stanley Hotel leans into its reputation with nightly ghost tours and psychic consultations from the in-house Madame Vera. It's like it's a pretty hotel. It's just that it's haunted too. Now let me grab my water.
very haunted.
Excuse a second. Then we have the La Recoleta Cemetery in Buenos Aires, Argentina. You don't have to be religious to be moved by La Recoleta Cemetery, which features thousands of statues, mausoleums, fairy tale grottos, and intricate tombstones, as well as the remains of Argentina's most iconic figure, Eva Perón. The stone walkways and labyrinth of mausoleums are as beautiful as they are eerie, and Recoleta has a couple haunted legends of its own. One of the most famous stories involves David Ayeno, a former gravedigger and caretaker who worked at the cemetery for 30 years before killing himself. Today, people report hearing Ayeno's keys jangling. His ghost walks the pathways at dawn. And of course, this is no surprise, the Tower of London.
Oh yeah.
I figured that's not a surprise on this one. Built by William
I'm
the Conqueror.
surprised it's not higher on the list, honestly.
Well, actually, this is not exactly a numbered list. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, this is not a numbered list, so it doesn't really matter in this case. Anyway, built by William the Conqueror in 1066, this uncompromising fortress has had many functions, but it's best known for its bloody history as a prison and execution site. Henry VIII famously ordered the execution of two of his wives, Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard, here. It's also where two young princes were imprisoned after the death of their father, King Edward IV. They disappeared shortly after 1483, and their remains weren't found until 1647. Unsurprisingly, ghost stories of the tower's victims and ghost tours through historic royal palaces abound. Now this was the one that caught my attention. Jazrat al-Hamra in the United Arab Emirates. You'll find the nearly abandoned town of Jazrat al-Hamra about 14 miles southwest of Ras Al Khaimah in northern UAE, located between a huge mall and a huge water park. Established in the 14th century, the town grew into a thriving pearl fishing village in the 1830s before it was suddenly abandoned in 1968. The town now consists of dirt roads, 13 mosques, and more than 300 coral and mud homes, and of course some resident spirits. People claim that visitors are bound to experience strange noises and chilling apparitions, usually jinns or genies in the form of animals. Jinn. That's the name of the guy from The Mandalorian, Jin Djarin. So, well, that's probably
Is
what
it
they got.
spelled DJINN?
Yes.
Then that's not a coincidence.
Hmm.
Yeah, the authors of the Star Wars screenplays love making little word plays with people's names.
Mm-hmm. And I happen to have the Star Wars Shakespeare style. That's pretty fun. All
Oh
right.
my! Oh my!
Then we have the St. Augustine Lighthouse in St. Augustine, Florida. The St. Augustine Lighthouse is visited by nearly 225,000 people annually, but it's just as well known for its otherworldly visitors. Several tragic events that occurred at the now historic site have contributed to the alleged paranormal activity. The ghost of a lighthouse keeper who fell to his death while painting the tower has been spotted watching over the grounds. And ever since the horrific death of three young girls who drowned when the cart they were playing in broke and fell into the ocean, visitors have claimed to hear the sounds of children playing in and around the lighthouse. Then we have the Whaley House in San Diego, California. Thomas Whaley built this
A
family.
good one.
Yeah. Thomas Whaley built this family estate in 1857 on the former site of San Diego's first public gallows. Shortly after he moved in, he reported hearing the heavy footsteps of Yankee Jim Robinson, a drifter and thief who was hanged on the site 4 years before the house was built. Whaley's family history ended up being filled with tragic deaths and suicides, many of which occurred inside the house itself. According to the Whaley House Museum, some of the family members still haunt the landmark, often accompanied by cigar smoke and the smell of heavy perfume. Woohoo!
Wonder if Zebo the Clown decided to take up residence there.
That's a good question.
Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll explain later.
All right, we may have enough time. We'll find out. Next up is the Hill of Crosses in Lithuania. So, people have been placing crosses at this spot in northern Lithuania since the 14th century, and for various reasons. Throughout the medieval period, the symbols expressed a desire for Lithuanian independence. Then, after a peasant uprising in 1831, people began adding to the site in remembrance of dead rebels, and the hill became a place of defiance once again during Soviet occupation from 1944 to 1991. While the hill and crosses were bulldozed by Soviets 3 times, locals kept rebuilding it. There are now more than 100,000 crosses crowded together. As the wind blows across the fields of rural Sayulari County, ornate rosaries clink against metal and wooden crucifixes, filling the air with eerie chimes. Eagle oh god, Gerulite,
How do you spell it?
Gerulaityte.
You got nothing on that one.
Jurlatiti.
Okay, I'll let you say
Jurlatiti.
Gerulite. All right. Yeah, he wrote for
Yeah,
the.
just feel free to butcher the.
I'll just say.
Butcher that one.
I'll just say Eagle G wrote for, wrote for the
There
BBC.
you go.
Yeah, wrote for the BBC in 2017.
Should you be listening to this podcast, we didn't know how to pronounce the name, so we're just going to refer to the first initial.
Yeah. And next up,
So as to not offend anybody.
right. Well, anyway, the next up, this is no surprise either. Edinboro Castle in Scotland.
Oh, yeah.
One of the biggest attractions in Scotland's capital city is also considered to be one of its most haunted. With sections dating back more than 900 years, the historic fortress's ancient dungeons have led visitors to the castle to report sightings of colonial prisoners from the American Revolutionary War, French prisoners from the Seven Years' War, and even the ghost of a dog wandering the castle's dog cemetery.
Yes,
Oh, boy.
the cemetery off Route 15 in Orrington, Maine isn't the only pet cemetery that's famous.
You're probably right. Let's see. Forsyth Park in Savannah, Georgia. Basically, the entire city of Savannah is pretty much one giant ghost story, due in large part to the mysterious tunnels that run below the town streets. The underground structures play a major role in many of Savannah's most haunted locations, including Forsyth Park, the fountained green space you'd probably recognize from a postcard or two. According to Savannah Magazine, doctors at the adjacent Candler Hospital, now the Savannah Law School, performed autopsies in the tunnels below. Maria Pinero, a historian and spokesperson with Ghost City Tours, says these below-the-surface rumblings make Forsyth Park particularly ripe for sightings of shadowy, now you see them, now you don't figures.
Mm.
Then we have the Ava- the uh, the Avadny Canal in St. Petersburg, Russia. Running 5 miles through St. Petersburg, the Avadny Canal goes by another much more sinister name, Suicide Canal. Ever since the artificial canal started being built in the late 18th century, strange events have surrounded the site, including construction workers complaining of headaches, sudden outbursts of violence, not silence, and of course, suicides. While most of the suicide attempts have been successful, people who have been saved claim they don't know why they jumped in the water or an invisible force pulled them off the banks. Some claim the force comes from restless souls lurking beneath the water, even claiming to see a woman in white floating just beneath the surface before suddenly disappearing. So if you ever find yourself in St. Petersburg on a gloomy day, maybe stick to the sidewalks. Let's
I'd
see.
say that's a canal that's haunted by blues.
Oh,
Oh,
Hey, think of it like the
Wow.
lyric out of Life is a Highway. There's a world outside every darkened door where blues won't haunt you anymore.
yeah, that makes
You
sense.
don't normally associate the two, but when you think about it, if the canal is haunted by, say, a demon associated with sadness, the blues, then people who walk along are going to think, my life has no meaning. Flush.
Mm. Well, anyway, the next up is the Oriental Theater, formerly the Iroquois Theater in Chicago. Ghosts are said to haunt the Oriental Theater in the Loop area of downtown Chicago, where almost 600 people perished after a fire famously broke out in 1903, writes Atlas Obscura. Even though the theater was completely rebuilt and rebranded, spirits of the dead remained. Apparitions have been seen in Death Alley, the street behind the theater where bodies were stacked after the disaster, and a common stop on many a Chicago ghost tour. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Ah, Rainham Hall, Norfolk, England.
Ooh.
Let's see. Built around 1620, the 7,000-acre Rainham Hall is one of the most impressive estates in Norfolk. As is the case with most historic buildings, the home also has its fair share of legends and ghost stories, most notably one surrounding Lady Dorothy Dolly Townsend. Dolly was the wife of Viscount. Viscount? Yeah.
Viscount.
Oh, Viscount. Okay, thank you. Viscount Turnip Townsend and the couple lived in Rainham Hall during the 18th century, during which time Dolly was reportedly locked up in the house by her husband. Lady Dorothy's ghost is now said to haunt the estate, as proven by a photo taken of her in the 1930s. No one has proved the picture taken of her is a fake, Lord Charles Rainham, the home's current resident, told the BBC.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Then we have the Hofori House in Reykjavik, Iceland. Ooh. All right. Overlooking Reykjavik's waterfront, the Hofori House is most famous for hosting a meeting between Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev in 1986. They need to do their spelling check because they have Ronald Reagan and Michael Gorbachev? No.
Well, keep in mind,
No.
Mikhail is Russian for Michael. So,
correct.
Anyway, a historic moment during the end of the Cold War. The house has housed many other famous figures over the years, including Queen Elizabeth, Winston Churchill, and Marlene Dietrich, plus a handful of British ambassadors. It was one such ambassador who first experienced the White Lady, a ghost who many believe is a victim of suicide. The Phantom Lady apparently caused so much panic and distress, the ambassador persuaded the British Foreign Office to sell the house immediately. Let's see, now this is no surprise. The Forbidden City, Beijing, China. No trip to Beijing is complete without a visit to the Forbidden City, China's former imperial palace that now serves as a museum. But you might not know that the popular tourist destination has quite the reputation among supernatural enthusiasts. During its 600-year tenure as a palace, the complex had its fair share of murders, whether from jealous concubines poisoning one another or executions performed at the emperor's behest. Needless to say, there have been many reports of strange phenomena since the place opened to the public in the 1940s. The most common story involves a woman dressed in white, as most good ghost stories do, strolling around the grounds and sobbing. And then, of course, this is also no surprise, the RMS Queen Mary in Long Beach, California.
Oh yes,
You know,
yes.
I have never actually admitted this either on air or even privately to any of my colleagues here.
Uh-huh.
But I'm actually very fascinated by, excuse me, both the visual appearance of the interior of the RMS Queen Mary as well as the hauntings within.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Let's see. Aside as a brief stint as a warship in World War II, the RMS Queen Mary served as a luxury ocean liner from 1936 to 1967. During that time, it was the site of at least one murder, a sailor being crushed to death by a door in the engine room, and children drowning in the pool. The city of Long Beach purchased the ship in 1967 and turned it into a hotel, and it still serves that purpose today, although reported ghosts of the deceased passengers get to stay for free. For an extra dose of spine-tingling experiences, try and visit the ship's engine room, considered by many to be a hotbed of paranormal activity.
I'm back.
Welcome back. All right, next up
Welcome back.
we have Leap Castle in Coolderry, Ireland. Looking like the Irish. Built sometime between the 13th and late 15th century, this Irish castle has seen more gruesome deaths than a Game of Thrones wedding. As legend
Oh
has
my!
it, they put that in there. As legend has it, during a struggle for power within the O'Carroll clan, which had a fondness for poisoning dinner guests, one member plunged a sword into his brother, a priest, as he was holding mass in the castle's chapel. The room is now called the Bloody Chapel, and the priest is said to haunt the church at night. The horror doesn't end there, at least not according to the macabre history outlined in Leap Castle's website. During renovations in the early 1900s, workmen found a secret dungeon in the Bloody Chapel with so many human skeletons they filled 3 cartloads when hauled away. Wow. The dungeon was designed so that prisoners would fall through a trapdoor, have their lungs punctured by wooden spikes on the ground, and die a slow, horrific death within earshot of the sinister clan members above. Whew, that's right. That's crazy.
Humanity to man knows no bounds.
Yeah. Let's see. Next up,
Hold on, real quick.
Okay.
Janet, wake up.
Wakey, wakey!
Yo! Damn it, Janet, wake up! Uh-oh. Hold
I
on.
think she's out.
Can
She-
you send like a high intensity tone to her mic or your earphones?
No, I don't think I can.
Okay, guys, get your hands near your mic, start clapping. You ready?
Yep.
Wakey, wakey!
Janet! Hello? Oh, man, she
Janet.
is out. I think she is
You
out.
may need to
Oh.
cut- I think you may need to cut her off.
Look at
Okay.
her chest. Can you tell if she's breathing?
Yeah, she's breathing.
Good.
hmm
Okay.
She's just out like a light.
Yeah.
Let her sleep then.
All right. So, you want me to cut her out?
hmm
Yeah.
It's up to you. She may wake up. I don't know.
Okay. Sorry, Janet. We gotta do this. There. Okay. And I'll mute her too. There. That's better.
And oh,
All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah,
Wait.
I'll tell you the truth. She's had a long day. So
Yeah.
that's all right. All right. So anyway, back to this. Now, here's a good one. The Castle of Good Hope in Cape Town, South Africa. A sprawling building near the shoreline of Table Bay, the Castle of Good Hope dates back to 1666, making it the oldest colonial building in South Africa. Originally built by the Dutch East India Company as a replenishment station for ships, the site also served as a military fortress and prison during the Second Boer War from 1899 to 1902. Today, you can tour the fort's many rooms and buildings, including the gruesome torture chamber, but you might want to prepare yourself for a ghost sighting. Back in the 1700s, Governor Peter Van Noot condemned several men to be hanged to death. One of the men cursed the governor from the gallows, and Van Noot died of a heart attack later that day. According to the Castle of Good Hope's official website, his ghost has been haunting the battlements ever since. Then we have the Crumlin Road Gaol in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Crumlin Road Gaol, a Victorian-era prison in Belfast, is said to be one of the most haunted sites in Ireland. Often referred to as Europe's Alcatraz, the jail contained more than 25,000 inmates, men, women, and children, during its 150 years of operation. Publicly hung many prisoners and buried their bodies within the prison walls. The institution officially shut its doors in 1996, but the ghosts of deceased inmates are said to still roam the iron walkways today. If this sounds like the sort of place you want to spend time in, you're in luck. from Rogel offers daily tours, live concerts, and reasonably priced meals at its in-house or in-prison restaurant. It even serves as a venue for conferences and weddings. Then we have Paviglia Island in Venice, Italy.
Now this is one that if you're really into the really scary stuff, this is a place you want to look into. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to be able to visit the island anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get a feel for what it's like, there was an episode of Ghost Adventures, I believe it was in season 2. They actually went to Paviglia, and Zach Bagans claimed he got possessed while on the island.
Hmm.
How does he know he was possessed?
I've never been able to figure that out.
Hmm.
He actually seems to get possessed a lot more often than what you think one would, could, or even should.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have footage of him when he claimed to be possessed?
Yeah, they actually aired that during the episode.
Okay.
All
What
right.
did he do? Did he start
He looked like-
talking differently, swearing more?
No, he was not feeling right, and he said he felt like. He said this is like one of the very early episodes of season 2. It's been a while since I
Okay.
watched it, but
Okay.
he spoke in English the whole time, and he seemed like he was like under attack in the head, really.
Yeah. I wouldn't call that possession. Maybe
I wouldn't
heavy
either.
influence.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, less than a half mile from the canals of Venice, Paviglia Island has served as a quarantine zone for bubonic plague victims, storage space for Napoleon's weapons, and the site of an early 20th century insane asylum. The asylum played host to horrific medical experiments, reports the Travel Channel, and finally closed for good when a doctor threw himself off the institution's bell tower. Locals still claim to hear echoing chimes from the island, even though the bell was removed decades ago. It's illegal to visit Paviglia today, but you can see the island and decaying hospitals safely from the beaches of nearby Lido. Ooh, oh, of course, the catacombs of Paris, France.
Yeah.
Encore.
Mhm.
Appelez-le suis fantasme.
Yeah, and that was actually the catacombs were also featured in one of the episodes of Mask back in the 80s too. So,
Now, are these the catacombs around Notre Dame?
I think so. It doesn't say here, but after a prolonged bout of heavy rains flooded and unearthed the overcrowded Les Innocents Cemetery in the spring of 1780, a wave of rotting corpses tumbled onto the property next door. According to the Smithsonian Mag, this horrifying event started a 12-year project to move bodies from Paris's cemeteries down into the city's former limestone quarries, eventually packing the underground tunnels with some 6 million bodies. Today, about a mile of the subterranean labyrinth is open to visitors who could take tours of the tunnels and artfully arranged displays of bones.
I wonder if they. No, they wouldn't have found him. His bones were dust by then.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's something. Here's an interesting one. Larnock Castle, New Zealand. Ooh. Larnac was built between 1871 and 1887 to serve as the residence of William Larnock, a prominent local politician. Most notable is a 3,000 square foot ballroom, which Larnock had built as a 21st birthday present for his favorite daughter Kate, who later died of typhoid at age 26 and is said to still haunt the ballroom. Don't talk those taps on your shoulder and whispers in your ear all up to imagination. The building has been visited by paranormal investigators and featured on Ghost Hunters International.
If you're wondering, I was making a reference to the Hunchback of Notre Dame with the dust bones in the catacombs.
Right. Let's see.
I
Now,
think the movie As Above, So Below takes place in the Paris catacombs.
I believe you're right.
If I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, next up is the Ancient Ram Inn in Wanton under Edge, England. Yes, that is the name of the town.
This one, it is, and this is a place that's going to scare the living bejesus out of you.
Hmm.
I'm not going to go into a great detail, largely because I don't have it memorized in my head. But the two key words you might want to take away from this location are incubus and succubus, and
Oh,
leave it
joy.
at that.
Yeah. Anyway, built in 1145, England's ancient Ram Inn has played many roles over the centuries: a former priest's residence, housing for masons and slaves, an inn, and a public house. It also happens to be one seriously haunted spot. Architectural Digest writes, with ghostly children, a high priestess, and even an incubus, Google it, but don't say you weren't warned, wandering the halls, guests have reportedly leapt from the windows in a frenzy to escape.
Like I said, incubus and succubus,
Yep.
Oh, guys,
and they and,
Janet's
and they
woken
are
up.
and they are gender opposites of each other too.
Okay.
For the record.
Okay. Let me get her to start it up. Janet, you'll have to start the video up. Were you? She wanted to know, was I snoring? No, but we couldn't wake you up.
There we go.
Okay, you still got on mute, Janet.
I can hear her.
I can't. There we go. You're still muted
On your headset.
on your headset.
Headset.
Sorry, people, but I had to get my folks up at 3 o'clock this morning. They had to go get in a line for vaccinations. So please forgive me. And if I snored, I probably got heard on Twitch.
No, you didn't.
No,
you didn't.
actually, you were not heard. You're okay.
No.
All right. So
Good.
anyway, next up is, I hope I can pronounce this, Zunantinich Belize. All right. So anyway, deep in the jungles of Belize, less than a mile from the Guatemala border, Zunantinich is an ancient Mayan ruin that has sat abandoned for the past millennium. An earthquake caused the original civilization to crumble, but the complex was rediscovered by explorers in the 1890s. Since then, Zunantinich has served as an important archaeological site, under the radar tourist attraction, and hotbed of ghostly sightings. The ancient city is said to be haunted by one female ghost, a black-haired lady with red glowing eyes. She was first spotted by one of the earliest research teams in 1893 and has been spotted near El Castillo, the tallest building in the complex, many times since then. No one knows exactly who the so-called Stone Lady is, but many speculate that she may have been a human sacrifice whose death ritual was performed on the top of the El Castillo pyramid.
Ugh.
Then we've got Eden Brown Estate in Nevis. This is in the Caribbean. Often overshadowed by neighboring St. Kitts, Nevis has just as much to offer travelers. In fact, it offers even more for the more morbidly inclined. Case in point, the Eden Brown Estate, a former plantation that now lies in ruins. The estate was originally owned by a wealthy businessman who intended to give the property to his daughter as a wedding present. However, a mysterious duel between the groom and the best man left both men dead the day of the wedding, and the daughter remained unmarried and alone for the rest of her life. Today, many visitors say they have seen the reclusive woman's spirit roaming throughout the estate. Then we have the Ponte Sisto in Rome, Italy.
Surprised it's not also haunted by the groom and the best man.
Yeah.
Boy, that'd be a fun ghost fight to watch.
Anyway, at the Ponte Sisto in Rome, let's see. In cities ancient Rome, practically every brick in every building has a story that goes along with it. In some cases, those stories are downright creepy. One such story surrounds the Ponte Sisto, a romantic bridge spanning the Tiber near Rome's city center. Local legend has it that if you visit the bridge at sunrise, you'll see a charging carriage helmed by the ghost of Olympia Midaccini, Pope Innocent X's advisor, hence her nickname, the female pope. The spectral occurrence is said to be Olympia's attempt to flee the city with the church's gold, just as he allegedly did after Pope Innocent X's death in 1655. While the Ponte Sisto is close to pedestrian traffic, you can visit the bridge as part of Dark Rome's daily Ghost Mysteries and Legends of Rome Night Walking Tour. Then
Any places in New Orleans that got mentioned?
not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. Next up is the Langham Hotel in London. The spirits are so active at this 153-year-old hotel, they drove out several English national team cricket players back in 2014 who cited sudden heat and lights and an unexplained presence during the night. Ghosts have long been associated with the Tony Hotel, says Visit Britain, and it's a thought to house elite spirits such as former resident Emperor Louis Napoleon III and a German prince who jumped to his death from his upper-level window.
Ew.
And oh boy, this one's gonna creep you out. This one's gonna creep you out. The Isla de la Muñecas, or Island of the Dolls, in Mexico.
I've
I
heard
have
of that.
I have seen the Ghost Adventures episode where they visit the Isle of the Dolls.
Mm-hmm.
That place, just sitting in my chair, watching it on my computer on iTunes,
Mm-hmm.
is creepy as all hell.
Uh-huh.
If you're the kind of person that gets creeped out at the mere thought of somebody looking at you, don't visit the Isle.
Yeah.
There are so many dolls. You will feel the minute you set foot on it like you're being watched every moment you're on the Isle.
I agree.
Yeah, the trail
Mm-hmm.
has Lying by the Dolls, if I remember the episode right.
Okay, well, let's see. Despite its status as a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its well-preserved example of Aztec life, the neighborhood of Xochimilco has reached a certain amount of internet fame for its Island of the Dolls. Hidden among the region's many canals, this site is famous for the hundreds of dolls and doll parts hanging from trees and scattered among the grass. While it might look more like a horror movie set, the Chinampa, akin to an artificial island, used to be the residence of a now deceased man named Julian Santa Barrera. After finding a dead girl's body in the nearby canal, Barrera collected and displayed the toys in hopes of warding off evil spirits, reports National Geographic. Daring souls can hire their own boat and view the island safely from the water. Let's see, then we have the Borg Vagnet Haunted Vicarage in Regunda, Sweden. Originally built in 1876, weird happenings have been noted in this parsonage since the 1960s. The gray wooden structure now serves as a bed and breakfast in a rural area with snowmobiling, fishing, and not a lot else. Guests at Borg Vatnet have claimed to hear footsteps, music, and the sound of 3 crying ladies coming from the inn, and the proprietors will reward you with a certificate that says you stayed through the night. Oh,
My.
here's a good one. The Teatro Tapia, San Juan, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is known for its natural history and rich history, the latter of which lends itself quite well to eerie experiences. One of the most famous spooky sites on the island is the Teatro Tapia, a San Juan theater known for its plays, concerts, and paranormal activity. According to urban myth, an actress who fell to her death while performing at the theater returned to haunt the venue. Some visitors claim to have seen her ghost wandering the theater grounds, while others report mysterious footsteps, doors swinging open and shut, and an unseen choir of voices coming from the stage. Teatro Tapia still holds frequent ballet and music performances, so purchase a ticket to see some local acts, and maybe a local ghost while you're at it. Oh, here's a good one. Lawang Sewu in Semarang, Indonesia. Built in the early 20th century by Dutch colonists, Lawang Sewu, or 1,000 Doors, served as the head office for the Dutch East Indian Railway Company before the Japanese turned it into a detention camp during World War II. During the war, many harsh interrogations, tortures, and violent executions occurred within the building's walls, all of which contribute to its current status as one of Indonesia's most haunted sites, says the country's Ministry of Tourism. Tourists are free to visit the abandoned site today, perhaps to confirm whether the many circulating ghost stories tied to Lawang Sewu have any truth to them. Then, of course, this is the one we've covered this one before. The Aokigahara Forest in Japan.
Oh yeah.
We have covered this one. This seemingly
we haven't talked a whole lot about it, but we have mentioned it.
Yeah, that's true. We have. This seemingly serene forest at the foot of Mount Fuji has a tormented past. Colloquially known as Suicide Forest, Aokigahara has been the site of 500 reported suicides since the 1950s, reports the BBC. Some blame this trend on the forest's association with demons in Japanese mythology. Others point toward large underground deposits of iron, which interfere with compasses and make it easy to get lost. In fact, many hikers will mark their path with tape or string and make it easier to find their way back out again.
Now, Shirley, have people who've gone in there reported feeling depression, desires to kill themselves, or do they just
don't
Yes.
know. Okay.
Yes.
Wow, we got another placement.
Oftentimes people people feel that way before they go to the forest,
Hmm.
but feeling that way is why they go to the forest.
Okay. Okay.
It's like these people really quite literally hit rock bottom, and they feel like there's no way to get out from under the burdens.
Gosh.
So they feel like the only escape is
Is death.
death.
Mm-hmm.
And because this, and I need to look into this some more, partially because I am partially an otaku as well as into the paranormal, so this is kind of like a double whammy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Fujisan is very important in Japanese culture, and I'm not going to go into that too much here because that would be another topic for another show any other time. That's not related to tonight's topic.
Mm-hmm.
But because it has such a cultural importance, and Aokigahara is at the base of Fujisan, I think that's why people feel like this is where they need to go to. I hate to say it this way, but yes, to get their release from life's burdens.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting philosophy.
Yeah.
Now that's not to say that if I were to travel to Japan, and believe me, if I did that, she probably would never get me to come back. But that's another whole.
Especially if you end around Akihabara.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. But if I were to walk into Aokigahara, as I am right now, I do have some burdens in life that I'm not going to talk about publicly on the show. My colleagues know about them already, but none of it makes me suicidal.
Right.
For the record.
All right. So
but that said, if I were to walk into Aokigahara in my current mental state, it's not going to make me feel like I want to end it all, but I will begin to feel other people's sorrow and sadness and despair as if I were an empath. Because there's been, well, what did you say, 500 suicides since the 1950s?
Yeah.
That's a lot of death.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And this is all just within the Aokigahara forest.
All right. So anyway, next up we have Port Arthur in Tasmania. All right. Port Arthur.
I was thinking of the Port Arthur, Texas.
Nope. In this case, Port Arthur began as a penal colony in 1833, housing British convicts until it was abandoned in 1877. Excuse me, my eye. Sorry. During those decades, the island, touted as inescapable, focused on correcting the inmates' morality using methods like solitary confinement and mandatory church services. The settlement has been a destination for curious tourists since the time of its abandonment and was officially preserved as a historical site in 1979. Today, you'll find what the New York Times describes as an impressive apparatus for remembering, complete with a ferry, interactive exhibit for children, and well-trained guides. Ghost tours are available of the ruins an open-air museum, as well as the nearby Isle of the Dead, an island housing the bodies of deceased convicts in unmarked graves. And then, how about the Taj Mahal itself?
Yep, that is
What?
one big grave site.
Yep, the Taj Mahal Palace.
I didn't even know that.
Anyway, dubbed one of the best hotels in India by the readers of Conde Nast Traveler, the five-star Taj Mahal Palace is located right in the heart of Mumbai. Yet along with amazing views and interiors fit for a royal, one of the hotel's most macabre claims to fame is its aura of mystery. According to legend, the building's architect jumped to his death from the 5th floor after discovering the hotel was facing the wrong direction. His spirit now roams the halls, running into guests in the hallways and walking around the roof.
Oh my.
Yep. Next up is the Dock Street Theater in Charleston, South Carolina. Let's see. Renovated in 2010, Charleston's Dock Street Theater is a beautiful downtown venue hosting plays and concerts throughout the year. But the site has quite a tumultuous history. According to Charleston's official city website, aside from a fire-burning town down, let me try that again. Aside from a fire burning down the original theater in 1740, spell check needed. The the building suffered damage from an earthquake in 1886 and fell into abandon during the early 20th century. To make matters even more spooky, a prostitute named Nettie Dickerson was supposedly struck by lightning while standing on the balcony in the mid 1800s, and her ghost is said to glide along the theater's second floor.
Oh,
Then, of course, this one
Those
we have.
two went quick.
Yeah, this one we have mentioned quite a lot. The Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California.
I've been in that place.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Anyway, following the death of her husband, rifle magnate William Wirt Winchester, Sarah Winchester commissioned a Victorian labyrinth designed to repel the vengeful spirits of the lives taken by her husband's guns. The sprawling Queen Anne-style mansion, comprising of 4 stories, 160 rooms, 10,000 window panes, and 47 stairways, is appointed with curious elements like staircases leading directly into the ceiling and windows opening onto secret passages. This year, or last year, depending on how you look at this, the
you
Winchester
can't be very tall in that place either.
Mhm.
So I've been up one of
Well,
those
then again, it's
staircases.
not for people with bodies.
Yeah, but the way it's designed, I went up one of the staircases, I almost bumped my head because here's the ceiling
Mhm.
because of the way she built the house.
Right. Well, the Winchester House was hosting a lineup of activities for Halloween, including a themed dinner, trick-or-treat trail for kids, and Unhinged, which is touted as an immersive horror experience through November 2nd. Now, that was back in 2019. Of course, last year, 2020, they probably couldn't even do it because of the pandemic. So, all right. Now, this is a good one. Canberra, Australia. Much like
Not
Savannah.
known for billabongs, is it?
I don't know. Let's see. Much like Savannah, the entire city of Canberra seems to be a paranormal hotspot, especially when it comes to the buildings in the Parliamentary Triangle. Hotel
That
Kurrajong,
was close.
a 4-star hotel with some serious A-list ghosts roaming its halls, is thought to house the ghost of former Prime Minister Ben Chifley, who died on the night of June 13th, 1951, after suffering a heart attack in room 214. His gray-suited ghost is known to appear in that same room from time to time, writes the Canberra Times. And then there's the old Parliament House itself, where security guards and cleaning staff have reported hearing their names whispered in the night. Ooh, yes.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, here's an interesting one. The First World Hotel in Pahang, Malaysia. With 7,351 rooms, Malaysia's First World Hotel makes sure it has something for everyone on its massive guest list. There's an indoor theme park for thrill seekers, excuse me, a tropical rainforest for nature lovers, and even a touch of paranormal activity for ghost hunters. Most legends involve wandering ghosts of high-rolling gamblers who committed suicide after losing everything at the in-house casinos. After staying in the hotel, one TripAdvisor user gave a first-hand account of a spooky stay, warning of unseen forces pressing onto your body while you're sleeping. And now we have reached the last one on this list. Carl Beck House in Ontario, Canada. Built by lumber magnate Carl Beck in the late 1800s, this house in, let's see, I hope I get the
How do you spell
Penetanguishene.
it?
Penetanguishene.
Guishene.
Mm-hmm.
And Gwiston?
No, look, it's Penetanguishene. That's it, Penetanguishene. Alright. Is known as one of its most haunted houses in Ontario. According to legend, Beck and his family lived in the house together. After his wife passed away, the eldest daughter, Mary, was put in charge of raising the younger children. Years later, when Carl died, he unexpectedly left Mary $1 in his will. Today, an angry female ghost, presumably Mary, is said to appear in the upstairs windows. You'd probably haunt the house too if your dad gave you a $1 inheritance. Hashtag Team Mary. For any travelers curious Huh?
You're gonna love this. This is out of an old dialogue by a Canadian comedy group called The Frantics, called Last Will and Temperament. For that reason, I leave you a boot to the head.
Let's see. For any travelers curious in Victorian architecture with a side of paranormality, you can actually rent the Carlbeck House on Airbnb starting at $95 a night. That's not bad. And that, my
But you pay
friends,
for a decent hotel on the strip.
hmm and that, my friends, is it. That's all 43.
Nice.
Nice.
Sorry, I messed up my earlier reference. What I should have said was, chances are all those ghosts, as they sob, are wailing, "Why did my dad leave all his money to the people of Calgary so they could afford to move somewhere decent?"
But
It was
yeah.
also out of Last Will and Temperament. This
But
guy, Arthur Durham Muldoon, passed away, and his will left, you don't find it out till the end, but he left all his money to the people of Calgary so they could afford to move somewhere decent, and he left all his relatives varying numbers of boots to the head.
Yeah, I apologize for my lack of manners, but
That's okay. That's all right.
It happens.
Listen, you've been up and down all day since 3 o'clock this morning. So yeah, in a nutshell, let's put it this way: her parents got the COVID-19 vaccination. So
Oh, now we've gone through the list. You guys interested in knowing where the first reliable
Yeah.
ghost sighting happened?
yeah, let's go for it. We're
the
good.
first reliable what?
Ghost sighting in recorded history.
The White House in
It happened.
1776?
No, way earlier than that, I'll
No.
bet.
Way
Guys,
after,
listen
way
up.
earlier now.
Guys, listen, please. It happened in Athens, Greece. What happened was, Pliny the Elder wrote about this. There was a man named Athenodorus who was a philosopher. He had found out about a house whose asking price was surprisingly cheap compared to its size. That was because of the fact that it was reported to be haunted. He bought it and moved in there. And one night, while he was writing something, a spectral man wearing a shroud and a set of manacle irons appeared to him. It didn't talk to him, but it had him finish what he was writing, then gestured for him to follow him. The ghost led him out into the yard, then pointed at a spot on the ground and vanished. The next morning, Athenodorus got permission to dig up the spot. And when he did, he found a chain and wrapped skeleton. So he gave it a proper burial, and the house never got haunted again.
Wow.
Kind of like it was being haunted. It was on like a grave.
Exactly.
Kind of like the way now not poltergeist. Yeah, the original poltergeist had it on top of Indian burial grounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what poltergeist means, Janet?
Vaguely. Tim, you told us once
German.
before.
I did tell you,
It's
but what
German.
it is German. What does it mean, Jan? Do you remember?
Nope.
That's been too long. I forgot.
German for noisy ghost.
Noisy ghost.
Ah.
Oh. Yeah.
It's like a noisy ghost cranks the volume to 11. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, there was one in particular scene in Poltergeist. They're here.
Yep. Exactly.
And I think Caroline was susceptible to the spirits because she was so young and
Right.
innocent still.
Yeah.
God rest that poor actress.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know
yeah,
if you guys know it. She died in her childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
so
died.
Yeah.
parents,
There was a problem in her stomach.
well,
Right.
what happened was the girl's parents were Christian Scientists. She had what proved to be a major stomach issue, but they insisted on prayer instead of proper medical care, and she died from it.
Right. Yeah, that part I definitely remember reading about. That's like that's awful.
No,
Mm,
Yeah, they don't
it's
believe in
sad. We
modern
got.
medicine. They believe
yeah,
in the power of prayer.
but
Well, the funny thing is, sometimes when you pray, God's answer is go to the doctor.
hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
And
okay.
okay, it's kind of like, guys, there's an old joke you might have heard. This guy was trapped on his roof during a storm that flooded the town. He started praying to get rescued. First, a raft comes by, offers him a lift. The guy says, no, God's going to rescue me. Then a helicopter comes by. He
Hmm.
refuses again, saying God's going to rescue him. He gets killed.
Hmm.
At the pearly gates, he gets into heaven and asks God, why didn't you save me? God just looked at him and said, I sent you a raft and then a helicopter. What did you expect?
Yeah, I know that
That's
one.
an
I've heard it.
old joke.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
an old
But
joke.
it makes sense too. It still makes sense.
People don't
Exactly.
pay attention to prayer. A
I
lot
mean,
of
it's
people.
I mean, it's good to pray, but don't make it so obsessive, I guess you could
God's
call it.
not going to do
Just
everything for
remember
you.
that exactly. God is not going to do everything for you. He will listen, and he will usually send you what you want. But if you pray for, let's say, you're in a deep financial hole and you want some money to get out of that hole,
Hmm.
and you say, well, God, I wish you would send me some money so I can pay my bills and get out of debt. God's not going to just drop a lot of money on you. That's not
No,
the way. That's
He'll
not the
probably give you a
way.
job offer.
He'll
exactly.
give you a job offer with a decent salary,
Hmm. Which is
and
what I'm
enable you to
working on
go
right
out
now
and earn it.
myself. Which is what I'm working on myself. I've been applying to a lot of places right now, so I'm not going to give up. The problem is people think, oh, you pray to God, you're going to get it. No, that's not how it works.
God
You know
is
what?
not a
It was
genie
like,
or a monkey's paw.
Hmm.
um, like Daniel in the lion's den. He had to believe. He
Hmm.
prayed to God that he wouldn't be eaten by the. You used that parable
Hmm.
last week, I think. He wasn't going to be eaten by the lion.
Hmm. Right. All right, so let's see. We went a little bit over, but you know what? That's okay. I have a pretty good idea we would with with these 43 places. But it sure is nice that there were some places that some of us we didn't know that were haunted. So, which is kind of
By
fun.
the way, you know how twice I said Appelez les esprits fantasmes?
Yeah, I know Phantasm means ghost.
That's French for call the Ghostbusters.
Ah.
Thought you'd like that. Oh, hey, good trivia. The Ghostbusters truck siren, that sound effect was actually made by recording a cheetah snarling, playing it backwards, and playing it at varying speeds. I'm not making this up. You can
Nice.
find that on Wiki.
That is cool.
Well, you want to know something? They did some of the sound effects in the original Star Wars movie. You know those big old metal, ow, 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 ow,
Careful.
big old metal guide wires
Hmm.
that
Uh
come down
huh.
off a pole. I think it
Yeah.
was the bantha they made by tapping on that metal wire.
No, that wasn't the bantha. That was the sound of a laser being fired. They
Mm.
did
Oh
that
yeah,
by
you're
tapping
right.
on the
You're right.
wire.
It's been a long time since I read the article.
Hmm.
I've actually seen that. The guy was going out there with a recorder with a mic and a headset, and he'd actually go up to the guide wire, put the mic near it. He'd actually put the mic on the wire, then tap it and run his finger down, and it would sound like.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's amazing. Well, back that was the original Star Wars was done back in the day when they had to improvise the special sound effects.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, had to animate
One,
the special effects too.
one
Hmm.
more little bit of Star Wars trivia. You know when they're coming down the hallway chasing after Princess Leia and the stormtroopers go through the doorway?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That one stormtrooper hit his head.
Yeah, I
He
seen
kept
that
on
one.
going. That was not supposed to be a part of the scene, but it was so good they left it in.
Oh yeah,
I got a good
it's
one
not the
for you
first. It's not
guys.
the first time. Go ahead.
You know who played the voice of Yoda?
Frank Oz.
You know who Frank Oz also played the voice of?
Um, he, oh, I'm trying to
Go
think.
ahead.
Um, he was in Kermit the Frog, I think.
Nope.
No, not R2D2.
Okay, guys. Frank Oz played the voice of Fozzie Bear, Miss Piggy, Cookie Monster, Bert, and Grover.
Ah.
I can see it. Now that you
Wow.
mention them, I can see it.
Can you imagine Yoda and Grover having conversation?
So, what's it like to be a Jedi Master? Oh, very good it is. Very boring it is as well. I'll tell you something really wild. Frank Oz actually has a speaking voice about like mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't believe it, but I actually saw footage of him getting interviewed, then going into his personas. He was like, I'll start out talking normally, then I'll go into my Fozzie Bear persona.
Oh, so Yoda was mostly Fozzie then.
Mm-hmm.
No, Yoda was kind of a mix between Fozzie and Grover.
Yeah. Oh, it makes sense. But it's like I remember in the 80s where you would have like 5 or 6 voice actors. They have to voice like 30 different characters.
Oh, yeah.
Case in
Now,
point,
was
what
Thunderbird
you
to
do-
go.
No.
Thunderbird
Here's
to
the thing.
go.
No, Janet, I'm talking about the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you had one guy voicing 2 brothers.
Mm-hmm. Well, put it this way. Doug Stone Unmasked, 8 different characters.
I was just about to mention Doug Stone,
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not.
Yeah.
You know how many characters Mel Blanc would voice?
More than
back
1,000.
in the-
That's why he was known as the man of 1,000 voices.
Tweety,
Exactly.
Sylvester, Foghorn Leghorn, Bugs
Just what,
Bunny,
just what
Daffy
every
Duck.
Looney Tunes possible.
This is the great thing. Mel Blanc, so far, is the only voice actor in history who could successfully do one of his characters doing an impression of another one of his characters.
Makes
I
sense.
ain't making that up.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, Billy West is giving him a run for his money, or at least did. Seth MacFarlane can kind of do that, not as well.
Rob Paulson's pretty good at it. I mean, I'm not
Oh,
not
yeah.
anywhere, but I
No.
mean,
2 simple
The
words.
voice of Yakko Warner.
hmm
Sorry, I thought you
Two
said who.
No, I said 2 simple words. Frank
Mhm.
Welker.
yes.
Oh, yeah. Did you know he was the voice of Stance in the real Ghostbusters?
hmm
Uh-huh. Freddie Jones
Uh-huh.
from Scooby-Doo.
Also
Megatron.
did a lot of voices in Muppet Babies.
Yeah, that's true. He also voiced
And
Megatron.
2 more words. 2 more words. Peter Cullen.
Yes.
You know who else Frank Welker voiced? Abu the Monkey.
Yeah,
I believe
he
it.
did.
He did Abu in Aladdin?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He was also the.
One of
He
his
also did the
specialties was
sound of
animal
the.
voices.
He also did the sound of the Pervadagger in the 1994 Shadow movie.
Nice.
Oh, that knife with the attitude, huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you something trippy since we're on voice actors. The same voice actor played the voice of Garfield and Dr. Venkman when they were cartoon characters. And the same actor played Venkman and then the voice of Garfield when they were made into live action movies.
Hmm.
There's a guy named Lorenzo Music. He was the
Yep.
original voice of Garfield.
Yep. I know.
He
I
played
remember now.
Venkman. He played Venkman in the real Ghostbusters. And then this actually wasn't what happened, but a lot of people thought it was in homage to that. Bill Murray, the original Venkman, got cast to play the voice of Garfield when they made him into a movie.
That's right.
The funny thing was, what actually brought him on there was a mistake on Murray's part in who he thought was directing it. What happened was Murray saw the script, or rather the production staff lineup, and thought it was going to be directed by one of the Coen brothers. And it wasn't. Or at least it
Oh,
was not directed. It was directed by a guy whose family name was Coen, but it wasn't the Coen brothers.
Oops.
got a question. What did you think of the reboot of Ghostbusters with Melissa McCarthy?
That, okay, that had good moments, but I really think the main actresses just tried too hard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Melissa
See,
McCarthy. Go ahead. Finish, and then I'll tell
here's
you
the
what I.
thing. I won't deny. I tried to tell you this a couple episodes ago. My fandom for the real Ghostbusters influenced my perception of the movies such that I couldn't properly look at them with an appraising eye. But the thing of it is, Melissa McCarthy was supposed to be Danny Croyd's analog,
Mhm.
and she came off as almost a quintessential foil. Kate McKinnon, she was supposed to be Harold Ramis's analog. Harold Ramis played Spengler. She came off, instead of being nerdy, if she had channeled Mayim Bialik from the Big Bang Theory, she would have done it well. But instead of coming across as nerdy, she basically came across as a female and intelligent version of Butthead.
Ooh.
And I was incredibly disappointed with both Kristen Wiig and Leslie Jones. Because the thing of it is, obviously Leslie Jones was supposed to be the analog of Ernie Hudson, Winston Zedmore. Problem is, Winston's character, despite his race, was just supposed to be an everyman who was going along for the ride. And Leslie, I thought, came across more like a stereotype, and I just didn't like that. As for Kristen Wiig, she was supposed to be like Venkman, and she wound up just being inconsistent. She gravitated between being a straight woman and trying unsuccessfully to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Melissa McCarthy's a sweetie. I watched one of those. It was on Discovery Plus. She went in and helped renovate this house for this couple, helped do the demolition and stuff like that. She's not bad as a home designer either.
No. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's it's 10:18, so I think this would be a good point to end the show for tonight. But we hope you enjoyed the show. We hope you make try to take advantage of these 43 different locations in your lifetime when this pandemic is
Just
over.
exercise caution.
And remember, as appropriate, please get necessary permissions.
Mhm.
Some of these
Exactly.
locations are private property.
Right.
And if you go and investigate without permission, you are trespassing.
Mhm. Exactly.
Do not trespass.
Mhm. Exactly.
I really don't want that. But
Exactly. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed tonight's show, and we hope you enjoyed the bonus stuff we did tonight too. But anyway, of course, tomorrow night is our Friday Fun Day, and our game du jour is family-friendly Cards Against Humanity. So,
I think I look forward to playing that. Finally
Yeah.
got Steam set up.
well, this case we don't have to use Steam. This is a situation where we go to a website called All Bad Cards, but because of the fact that we're kind of restricted because of Twitch, we do like we call it the not all bad cards. So
Now, that is set up to keep us from getting the truly bad cards automatically, right?
correct. Mhm.
Good, good.
like I said, no references to sexual activities or anything like that. We
Right.
could use slang terms for certain body parts, but that's about it.
Yeah, but I mean I can understand why. That's not a big deal. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna do the ending real quick. So bear with me for 10 seconds.
Growl.
Okay, now that I probably made sure I wasn't muted and nobody else was too, I'm just gonna say this. We hope you enjoy the show. Everybody have a great night. Sleep well. Stay safe. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Just don't slip on that grease. And we will see you tomorrow.
Oh my.
We will see you tomorrow night for our Friday Fun Day edition of Family Friendly Cards
Oh,
Against Humanity.
one more thing.
Yeah,
No more bottoms up into the garbage cans for me.
you're right.
And by the way, to all our listeners living in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, it's still coming down out there, and the roads are kind of wet. So use caution if you're going to be driving home tonight.
Yep.
Same in Marion too.
don't
Same
let
in
it.
Marion.
In other words,
Is it
don't
snowing
let it,
or raining? Is it snowing or
Snowing.
raining?
It is snowing.
Send some of the cool stuff this way.
I wish I'd gotten that snow they had up in North Alabama this week.
Now,
All right.
which city in I'll ask you later.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
Which city in Alabama do you live in? I used to live
Montgomery.
in
Montgomery.
Nice.
All right. So anyway, that is all for tonight. We will see you tomorrow, and good night, everybody.
All right, everyone.